So I think whatsoever has been highlighted by Bilal is when we look at global context, the situation is like both the global economy and then the domestic economy is they are reinforcing this downturn into each other, and there's a kind of a co-evolution sort of an arrangement that's going on. So the most important aspect are yet to, come, and they have, or they could have even more profound implications for the livelihoods in the days to come. Because if you look at, then normally you have to divide this impact in two steps. The first step is that economic impact of the virus spread. And normally, if you look at, then most of the public health systems, uh, they they imposed lockdowns, travel bans, then comprehensive, you can say that contact tracing, then provision of this, health capacity equipment. All these things were in the first step, and those has caused the immediate effect. But subsequently, there would be another, ripple effect, and that is, you could call it a knock-on effect of these, public health responses, and those are primarily causing the unemployment to increase. Then most of the businesses, which Bilal has also pointed out, particularly restaurants and some food businesses, those are closely, there is a shutdown. Then then subsequently there would be corporate failures, and then credit defaults, particularly posing a lot more serious challenge for the banking industry and the financial system of the countries. And that would be even much more complicated as compared to what we are discussing at the moment. So this knock-on effect would be, I think, should be, and would be the concern of any government, that how to mitigate its negative repercussions or implications in the days to come. So, one thing is quite clear when we are going to evaluate its impact on the global level. So, this phenomena of globalization, there was to a large extent getting, kind of a momentum or traction in the past. That was derailed by having this, China US trade war that was going on in the global context. And roughly speaking, that 780 billion dollars worth of trade was already jeopardized by having some stringent tariff and non-tariff measures which have been taken in the recent past. I'm not talking about uh, I mean 3-4 quarters. Rather, it was just roughly 2 or 3 weeks before the corona hit China. The situation was like this, and then this pandemic has further deepened this reversal of globalization. And now, if you look at, then the forecast for Europe and America are much more severe as compared to what the kind of downturn they had faced in the face of global financial crisis in 2008. So at that time, the contraction was about 4.5% in Europe, and it was around 5.5% in US market. But now it is being expected that it would be around 7.4% in Europe, and that it would be around 9% in United States of America. So if these two major markets of the world are going to contract by this much percentage, and then more adding fuel to the fire, most of these oil-rich countries, which are also facing the problem because of having this OPEC crisis, and then subsequently corona implications on their oil prices, is further going to complicate the things, because in global financial crisis the situation was not so grave as it is now in particularly these oil-rich countries as well. So I mean, together this Europe, US, and then oil-rich countries are going to, once contract, these are going to have severe implications for the countries like us. Particularly, we are exporting very, low value added stuff that is highly price sensitive. And eventually, if there would be a kind of low income levels in these countries, and the similar kind of situation as Bilal has pointed out, the low level of consumer confidence, low spending, low investments. So then eventually the countries like us would be the hard hit countries, because we are the ones who are selling this, roughly around 19, $20 billion worth of our exports are very, low value added products. So first of all, there would be a severe decline in those products. And then subsequently, there would be a decline in the remittances. And as per certain forecast by IMF and World Bank, roughly it would be, 15 to 23% decline in the subsequent quarter. And the reason being, this is not being reflected in the April numbers, as Bilal has pointed out, because if you look at then Saudi Arabia, UAE, most of these countries from where our remittances are coming, so they have ensured, for 6 week salaries to their staff in advance in previous month. So because of that, there was no such a kind of severe decline in the remittances for the month of April. But now for the month of May, I think there would be certain, signs of this decline. And then together, having this decline in exports numbers, and then these remittances are going to create the same situation, the kind of we had on our current account balance. So that's how I would, conclude by, summing up this discussion, that the shadows would be much more severe as compared to the global financial crisis, because that's the kind of an benchmark we have up till now. And the countries like us, Pakistan, we are going to have a severe, implications on our economic growth, and as well as on the livelihoods of particularly those people who are working or who are drawing their livelihoods from the informal sector. And unfortunately, the numbers suggest from the labor force surveys that roughly 70% of our labor force, that's around 36 million, uh, I mean, uh, people, are drawing their livelihoods from the informal sector. So, those should be the serious concern for the government. And once, we will be talking about the fifth question, I will talk about that as well.